All right, let me see if we are. Well, it says we're setting up your meeting for Facebook Live. So just
See,
gonna check
let's
on
see.
my phone. All right, let me see. Looks like we are live, ladies and gentlemen. So let me just double check on my phone here to make sure that we are good to go. Let me click this here. All right, we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Automate Your Agency show number 8. Oh my
Number
God, we
eight.
have been doing this for 2 months now. And in
Wow,
the
10.
last 2 months, we've reached 500 members. It's a great milestone. It's a great, great milestone. It's not as big as all these other groups out there, but we are absolutely getting there. Now, we have been doing this show for the last 8 weeks every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we show you a lot of the automation that goes on in our agency and the agencies that we've helped build systems for. On the last one, we went through the enrollment automation, which was a big hit. A lot of people were watching this show. We had a couple people share it and tagging their friends, and it was just a great hit. And before that, we've done 7 other shows. If you want to see the archive, you can go ahead and check out the units section over to the left. If you are using a
Sure.
browser or if you're on your mobile, check up the unit section at the top of this Facebook group. Now, we are so glad that you are here watching us today. We have a couple people on here. Let us know if you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, because at the end of each show, we do send you the automations that we build on this show. We send you the link to the Zapier automation, and you can just take that and plug it into your business. But the only way that we can send this to you is if you let us know hashtag live or replay down below.
For
Now,
sure.
on this show, it's a great show because we are going to be talking about hiring automations. And actually, in the last couple of weeks here in our ARF accelerator program, right, we've been helping a couple of our agency clients to really get people on board, right? Because there's
Yep.
no use to have all these automations, but then if you're still the only one doing the actual work and you don't have team members in place, you can't truly scale, right? And
For
so,
sure.
in order to assist you with that, we have a couple automations in place to really just streamline this
Yep.
this entire process. So,
Sure.
to keep things streamlined, Reina's gonna walk us through what we have going on. We're gonna actually go through an actual build out of these automations.
Yep.
And dude, just let us know,
Start to
let our
finish.
viewers know, yeah, what we're gonna cover today.
Let's do it. Yeah. So, as Fran said, what we're going to cover right now is the our hiring automations. So, hiring is one of those things that once organized correctly does is pretty, like, it's very easy to do, right? Because like hiring technically is basically like a marketing funnel, right? And right now, if you look at your marketing funnel, if you're an agency or whatever you do, it's like you have automations in place. You use Zapier to zap leads from ClickFunnels into Google Sheet. You probably use Zapier for some other things, or to automate, right? So these things we do for marketing funnels, people usually don't see that they can do with their hiring, and they take hiring as, okay, whoever responds to my job post, I'm just gonna message and go back and forth. And no one really thinks about how can I systematize, how can I template, how can I make it easy for me to manage all these applicants, especially when you have some volume, right? If you have one or two people you're talking to, that's easy, right? That's We don't want to over engineer as well, but let's say you're talking to 10, 20 people, right? And even when you get to like 100 people, like just last week, not just this week, I put out a post for a specific role, and it was a very easy role, VA type role, and we got 655 people responding. So
Woo!
imagine if imagine if I had to manually go through each one of them and like assess with no automations in place, right? And even in a case like that, do we really need automation? So that's something we'll cover later in the video, but in this in this live, but then the show. But right now we're just going to show you this scenario of like, okay, let's say we want to hire for a role. How do we make sure it's easy for us to track inside, like, let's say project management software like Asana? And then after that, how can we automate some of the movement inside that, like, a quote unquote funnel, right? So that should be a pretty good overview. And again, if you're watching this show, hashtag live, right, in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, We'll see you there as well with hashtag replay, and we'll send you
Yeah,
over
we have
this. Yeah.
Jay watching over here. Jay was on our show last week, and
What's up,
he
Jay?
he got the Zapier automation. I sent him the link. Hopefully you've been using it, man. If you're watching this show, let us know if you have any questions. But let's just jump straight to it, man.
Cool. Let's do it. So I'm sharing my screen. Do you know if like our faces are seen on the screen share? Like I don't know how Zoom like what is it? How
Well,
does it
what
work?
happens? What happens is if you share your screen, I think your face gets shown.
Ah,
You can also
cool.
click if I speak, like my face gets shown. But
Interesting.
I think you can click a button up there where both of our faces get shown.
I have no idea. Let's our Zoom expert. Yes, so all right, so let's
If you
do
are a
it.
Zoom expert, let us know
Let
in
us
the
know.
comments below on how we can show both of our faces. But we have Jay here, we have Jason, we have Judel, we have Matthew. Wow, we are actually having a couple people on here. So, guys, again, let us know hashtag live or replay so we can send you. I mean, guys, you know the drill. I've seen you guys hop on the show a couple of times already. So, you know the drill. Just let us know so we can give you the links. So, for those hopping
Yep.
on, again, we are going through a hiring funnel automation. Just last week, Raina had to sift through 100 people, 100 plus people. And, we have some automations in place to help you do that. And so we're just going to jump straight to it.
Let's do it. So first thing we'll put and some sort of like I guess philosophy on our hiring is we always have some sort of intake form, or like an application form to weed out people before we go on a call with them, right? And again, this is so dependent on what role you're hiring for. Some people go straight to a first interview since it's a more high touch role, it's a more qualified role. Some people, some roles require that you do a form like this before you do an interview, and some roles require you don't even do an interview or a form like this, and you just jump people straight into a test, right? For example, like we had the 6,500, 650 responses job role I had. It didn't make sense for me to ask them to, you know, fill out the form and then I'll interview like let's say 50% of them are I like I'll interview 300 people. That doesn't make sense. So in a case like that, we decided to test first to make the list smaller. But either way, there's always some sort of form and a process of like booking a call for us to make sure that we are able to manage the project correctly. So let's start with building that form, and let's assume that we're building that form specifically for that step in the process where after you do like someone reaches out to you, you send them this form and say, hey, um one sec, sorry about that. Application form. They fill out this form and then you assess the application before you invite them to a call. Right. So we're going to capture that part of the process in an automation. So let's make a quick application form. And usually the details we put here are we ask for their full name. What is your full name? Friend, what is your full name? Oh, no, later. I'll ask you as we figure
But
these
we've
out.
been working together for 6 years. Man. Still don't know my full name.
What
Damn,
is your
outta here.
email? Right. What is your email? And you can use just to make sure we actually get emails right here. And we have a few other questions we ask. What time zone you work in and things like that. What's your availability like? But let's keep it simple. Let's put name and email. If you want to see the whole thing, agency rocketfuel.com. Kidding. Yeah, we want to focus on the automation here. Maybe if you guys let us know if if you guys want to take a peek behind like our hiring thought process and things like that, maybe Fran and I can do a show that's not so like don't like automate your agency but don't talk about automations kind of show, and we can walk you through that. So let us know in the comments if you're watching this video right now. So we have that first that first section for like details basically. Again, it's purely aesthetic, but then we ask questions. So let's say we have questions such as what's your experience using Facebook ads or something. Okay, so I'll leave this again, just keep it simple. So let's say you have a form that looks like this. So people have to fill this out, and then the idea is that you will assess them, and then you will say, hey, you're a good fit. Let's move forward to the next stage, book a call here. So for the interview, right? So let's say you have this form, and just like any form, we're going to have to make a responses sheet first before we can automate anything. So you're going to create that responses sheet. And one tip for Google Forms, if you're using G Suite, be sure to click this and don't restrict reusers, because we've seen this happen a lot where you create a Google form and then you send it out to 100 people, and literally 100 people will message you back and say, hey, I can't access the Google form. You're like, oh, okay. So
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
so that happens. So again, just keep this in mind. So we're gonna uncheck that. So the form has been created here, and then let's test it out, right? So let's say I get in here, put my email, and like I'm an applicant, right? So I apply and I answer, I have no experience doing Facebook ads.
Yeah, Renner has no experience doing
Yeah,
Facebook
all I
ads,
do is
guys.
like, you know, do nothing. So I submit this and then it gets in here in the sheet, as you can see. So what's next? So the idea here is we want to put it inside like a funnel in our project management software, so we can track like, oh, where is this applicant and what stage of the process is he in. So what we'll do is we created you can use this in any project management software. It should work on Monday, it should work on ClickUp, it should work on Asana, on Trello, Basecamp, whatever it is. We use Asana, so we're going to go through Asana, but the thought process is the same. So we created a project called like test funnel, and usually this is okay. This is not really our standard, but then let's say new applicants for first interview. I'll delete these.
So while Raynard is doing this, we have a couple people hopping on here. Oh man, I'm having a word vomit here. But Matt, Franklin, Jay, let us know if you're watching live. Again, on this show, we are going through our hiring kind of automations, and the reason that we have this in place is because we sift through hundreds of people each and every week, right? For ourselves and for our clients, for our agency clients. Just so you know, we do help agencies scale and get people on board. And having to sift through 100 people every single week means we need to have some filtering systems in place, and we need to have these people actually go through this process automatically, right? And so we're going through some of these systems right now. At this stage, Runa just created an application form, which we have. I think everyone has to fill up that application form, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to show you what kind of happens after that. So if you want, again, access to the Zap after this show, just hashtag live or replay so we can send this over to you.
Awesome. Sounds good. So yeah, so going back, like we have this funnel right here. It's basically a board view in Asana. Other project management tools have something similar. So what we want is basically any new applicants will hop here. So then we can say, okay, I want to interview this dude. I'm gonna move them here and send them an email. Right. So how do we get that information here? So in Zapier, we're gonna start building out the Zap itself, right? So we're gonna look for Google Sheets. I mean Google Forms, new response in spreadsheet. Choose the account right here.
We have a question here. Do you
Sure.
always use Google Forms for capturing info?
For us, yeah. It's just personal preference because like it works. So, but you can use anything you want. Wufoo, Typeform, anything works. Almost everything has an integration in Zapier. One of the reasons why we like Google Forms, and like, this is gonna segue a bit, is that there's this plugin in Google Forms that you can basically dynamically fill out details based on stuff you have in Sheets. So what does that mean? It could mean that you have a form that's like, let's say you have a form that your team fills out, and let's say you have 3 account managers, right? So you can actually connect the form to a Google Sheet that says who are these 3 people. So if you update who these 3 people are on the Google Sheet, it will update the form. So it's dynamic, right? So if you onboard a new team member, their name will be automatically added to the list. If you remove a team member, their name will automatically be removed from the list. Same with clients, same with other lists. So that's why we like using Google Form. It makes it super easy. But any form software should work. So for now, we're using Google Forms. And again, we're going to click it here. We'll look for that application responses thing. Where did that go? Application responses. And worksheet would be form responses. And then click continue. And then let's get that test response that we put in. Here you go. Right? So what's next is then we'll create an action on Asana. So we will create a task inside this test funnel project whenever someone fills out the form. So let me just click the right workspace. the right project. So the thing about Asana projects is that you have to keep clicking load more until it's there. So quick technique that we not many people know is you can get the ID of the project right here. Use custom and just put the ID. Like don't have to go through all those drop downs. And then the section, you'll see you can choose the section from here, new applicants, right? And then we can start building out the task itself. So how I like structuring the task is I like putting the name of the person on the task name and their email as well, so it's easy to see. And inside the task details itself, I put all the information. So like full name. So you might be wondering as well, like why are we putting these dashes? It's because it's easier to identify the header. Because like you can't bold, like you can't use like formatting here, so it can't look like bolded and stuff. So it's easier to see. Email and then question like experience with Facebook ads. Personally, I like copy pasting the question so I make sure I don't miss anything. So let's put it here, and then let's just add that question in there. Okay. And then one more thing is we can also put the date submitted so we remember like when did they come in. So timestamp. All right, so we can make it due on tomorrow or today, depending on like when you want to review these applicants as soon as they come in. And then let's say I'll assign it to myself. And let's say you have a person on the team that hires, that handles hiring, and you want to be able to see these. You can assign it to yourself as a follower, or you can assign like example, I want friend to be notified or like to see notifications whenever an update is made on any applicant. So I set him as a follower on this task, right? So that's an Asana thing. So I'll click test and review. And what you'll see here, let me see, back to setup. If I test and review, you'll see that an applicant has come in, right? They've been
Nice.
moved to, and that information has been zapped in, right? So now we have an easy way. As you can imagine, as applicants come in, they'll be added here, right? So it's very, very easy. Let me see. And now you can just manage your applicants here, right? So let's say the next step um, is how do we, what if we, let's say, okay, this guy, this person's pretty good. Let's send them an email.
Yeah,
Ideally,
Rena's
you
pretty
have a
good.
template. Yeah, I wonder who this guy is. But he has no experience with that. So let's say you have a template already. Ideally, you have a template that you use and stuff for like the information you send. So this is a feature in Gmail. You can use templates and stuff like that. So let's say like, hey, you're a good fit. Again, we can cover this in a future video if you want, but we want to focus on the automation here. Hey, you're a good fit. Please book a call here for your first interview, right? So that assumes that we move this dude here, and we're like, okay, let's send them an email. So we need first thing we need a link for them to book a call, right? So what we want is that once they book a call, we automatically move them here. Okay, because that's something we can do, right? It might seem really trivial, at one person or two people, but if you're getting 10 applicants a day, 30 applicants a day, this makes it super easy, right? So let's build that right now, right? So let's make a new event type on Calendly. Again, you can use any calendar software. We like using Calendly, so this is what we're using, but you can use whatever, right? Intro call, I'll call it intro call test or intro interview, initial interview. Um, Test
Yeah. So
event,
as Reynard is building this out,
intro
just to give you
call.
guys again a summary of what's being built, right? And so initially we started with a form, right? We have people who are interested in the job post that we place out to fill up an application form, right? This reduces the need for you to having to converse with them, right? Of like asking them about their experience, stuff like that. Just put all of your questions on a form, right? And so if a person can't fill up a simple form, then they're probably not a good fit for your business anyway. And so they fill up a form, and there's an automation that happens where it creates like a task, right, or a deal or a board in your Asana or whatever project management tool you're using, so that you don't have to open up like Google Sheets or whatever to look at the answers, right? And so it's kind of like a funnel, and Reynard showed you the earlier part of this video here. Now, from there, we're creating a calendar for people that we deem as a good fit to book a call, and this is where we're at currently at this stage, and this is why
Yep.
Reynard is in Calendly.
Yep, for sure. So thanks for that recap, friend. So just to so now we have the right, we have the Calendly page. Pretty simple setup, nothing crazy. You can also connect Zoom and stuff, so it has a meeting link. So a question that we will get, or you might be wondering, is how would you tie this task? How would Asana, how would Zapier, how would these systems know that whoever filled this out is actually connected to this task? Right? Is there a way to do that? Is there like some secret ninja Asana trick or something? Because like I'll show you right now, if I fill this out and I book a time, put my name. They use, again, we put this question just to make sure they use the same email because this is important for the automation, which we'll show in a bit. Say yes. So you'll see that once this happens, how do we connect Asana and the task and then this guy, right? So how we'll do that is through some sort of database, right? So what we need to do is we have to create a Google Sheet here, which has basically all our applicants, right? I understand they're already here, but this is Google Forms default responses, so we usually don't touch this. So let's create a new database for the position. So let's say plus X database, applicant database. And the information we really want, it's up to you if you put their questions here, their answers to the questions here, but then let's do full name, email. So let's just put the same answers, FB ads experience, and let's put date, right? So exactly the same things. So I'll show you where it's different. So date, and the last thing we'll add here is the Asana task ID. So this is an Asana specific thing. Other platforms may have the same thing, but what we'll do is we will identify that, okay, Reynard, he applied. This is his task ID, right? So to do that, we're going to go back to Zapier to this automation, like form to Asana to database. So you'll see that because you saw it, right? I booked a time, but it doesn't really automate anything. Nothing happened. So what we'll do is add a new step here, which will fill out this database, and you'll see how we're going to use this. So we're going to use the create spreadsheet row. We're going to use my account. We're going to use the spreadsheet, the position X applicant database. We're going to choose that first worksheet, and we're going to fill in the fields, right? So what's the date? Timestamp, full name, email, FB ads experience, Asana task ID. So where do we get the Asana task ID? You're going to look at the Asana task and then look at this ID. This is the ID of the newly created task. All right, we're going to click continue, click test and review, and you'll see it come in right here. Right, just unbold this so you can see it. So how do we use this information? So what's next is that what we want, right, is that when a Calendly a booking is made, our Zapier account somehow identifies that and then moves the card to the next stage. Right, so this is how we're going to do that. I'm going to turn this on so you can see the full thing work. But we're going to make a new Zap where it's like Calendly Asana update. So we're going to choose Calendly here, meaning this Zap was triggered by Calendly, right? Invitee created on my account. And you'll see that it runs for everything. So we need to make sure it only runs for your intro call task, or because if not, it will run for all your types of all the call types you have on your Calendly account. So we're going to put a filter step right here to make sure that it will only continue if the event type name contains intro call test. So it won't run if it's a strategy session, if it's a sales call, it will only run for this specific event type. And then after that, so once Zapier is made sure, okay, this event type is really that intro call test, what we'll do is find, so this is kind of like advanced, we're gonna find the email, right? Look up spreadsheet row. Because as you remember, we're given the right email here, and we're also given the email here. So what we'll do is cross-reference that so we can grab this Asana task ID and update it. And this will make better sense when you actually see what happens, right? So look up spreadsheet row, get Google Sheets right here, and then choose the spreadsheet, which is the position X applicant database. The worksheet is that first worksheet. Which column will we look up? We're going to look up the email column, right? What are we going to look up for? Meaning, what will we search for? We're going to search that person's email, right? And then we're going to click continue. So as you can see, if I test and review this, it's able to get all the data inside that column, right? If I click done editing, I'm gonna make so now that we've retrieved this data, the Asana task ID specifically, we can go back to using an Asana step to find it to update an existing task. Again, use my account. So the task would be, so what's the task? So instead of choosing a task manually, we're going to choose custom and actually use the task ID that we got here, right? And what we'll do is we won't change anything, but the, we're going to change, let me see. Can you update the section here? Let me check this. Cool. So one of the things I think they haven't added in this part, the status, is that you can't actually move sections on us on this setup for some reason. So what we'll do instead is we'll tag the task itself. So we can add a tag, let's say custom. Let's see what tags we have. See this load up.
So while we're waiting here, guys, if you want to watch our previous shows, you can go ahead and check out the units section of our Facebook group. If you want the actual Zap, again, hashtag live or hashtag replay, so we can send this over to you. And if you just want to put it on your calendar, we're going to keep doing this show every single week, every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you can go ahead and just stay tuned to all of the automations that we're going to be building.
Yep, cool. So let's put the tag acknowledged. Let's just use the word acknowledge, but you can name this like call booked or something. But let's see if this will work. This is interesting because they kind of updated the interface here. So let's test and review. And if we look at the task, you can see that there is a tag acknowledged, right? So what we can do here is then this might not be available on all Asana accounts, but again, this is something that's doable in most project management software. Is that when a tag is added, there's even no triggers for tags anymore. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was before. So updates in the section, it can't actually move the section, I think. Let me see. Task assigned, due date set, no longer waiting.
Comment added? No.
Yeah, let me see. So this is building systems on the fly at Agency Rocket Fuel.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's improvise a bit, right? So instead of adding a tag, let's add a comment. Let's specify which task. So it requires the project ID and stuff as well. So we know that the workspace is specifically this workspace and the project is the position X1. Again, let's just shortcut it and grab the ID. Custom, no, place it in there. And the comment we'll put is, let's say, interview booked. So let's add a rule here. So it's like an automation within Zapier. Within Asana. It's like if a comment is added, we move them to first interview book. So this is kind of tricky because then that will trigger all comments. So that's something to keep in mind. But then just to show you guys like what can be done. So here, if we click continue and we test this, you'll see the comments move and then it was automatically moved, right? So that's the kind of things that we can do, like when it comes to automating these things, that, when someone books a call, like it will automatically move here. Or if ever like there really isn't, you saw that we had to like string together some of these rules because like Asana no longer like allows you to update based on status, like basically automatically move the section. One thing you can do is also create a new task here, a Calendly task and stuff, so that that has all the details of that person, right? So those are the different things that we have in place to make sure that automation is as streamlined as possible, right? So yeah, that basically covers like the two things you wanted to cover in terms of like the automations we have in our hiring, right? But what's important, I think, is more of the philosophy behind this, is that we don't actually use these automations for all of our hiring, right? So sometimes we don't, most of the time we don't have any automated moving of the section. We've done it like once or twice before just because we wanted to automate a few things, especially when our hiring process has been pretty much streamlined and we know that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like what's the steps, right? For a new example, if we have a new position that we've never hired for, we don't put any automation except for the form because we want to be flexible into how we qualify the applicants, right? And once we've hired for that role, like, 2 3 times, we get a feel of like, okay, these are the actual steps, and then we start automating, right? So I think Franny would agree that this kind of aligns with our overall, like, our overall philosophy when it comes to systems building and automations, is that it's really, it's less about automating directly compared to really understanding how your process works first. And then once you have a good feeling of that, what that procedure looks like, you can then look into, okay, how can we automate it? Right? Because we've seen, right, like situations where we have really these complex automations, and our clients want them. Like, it makes sense, of course, it looks really great and it helps, but then will it fit in their business? Will it make sense for their business? Right, at this point, like, it might be too complicated or it might not just make sense. So that's why it's always good to understand like where you're at. But what's important is to understand like the thinking and the mental model behind our automation, so then you can like apply it for your own business rather than just like doing a straight up copy and paste, right? Because then that usually ends up not being super scalable until you put in the work to make sure it works for your operation, right? So
Absolutely, a hundred
mm,
percent, man. And if some of you guys are familiar with our work, you know that our methodology is called decal, right? It's the framework that we use to systematize businesses. And if you know decal, it's document, eliminate, chunk, automate, and outsource. And if you notice, automation really comes further down the process. There's this process of us being able to document, eliminate, and chunk a lot of your workflows first and foremost before we even think about automations, right? A lot of the things that we've built, I mean, if you've seen some of our Zapier stuff, there's literally hundreds of zaps there, but everything starts with us understanding at the very core what we do. And that means having to extract that information and putting it onto paper before you even design the automations. So this show is really designed to help you guys kind of fast track your journey and then using Zapier and all these automation tools. But again, it requires you to have an understanding of how your process works first from A to Z before even putting in any automations in place. So with that said, is this kind of like the last part, right, of our automation show?
yep, for sure.
All right, guys. So we're about to wrap up here. We have a couple of people joining. Johnny, Don, thanks for watching, guys. But you can always just watch the replay of this show. We basically went through the process of how you can have your quote unquote applicants, right, for certain roles in your business to have them fill up an application form, how that application form funnels through your project management software. So you have one place to look at everything. You can kind of have a funnel and move them around and send them kind of like an interview, a calendar link for them to book a call, and you don't have to constantly have to message them and all that. And we went through some of the zaps as well. And not one of the things that we wanted to talk about, but also our methodology, right, of how we pretty much hire people, not the full picture, but some of them. So again, this is just to help you keep things streamlined. Again, if you're only hiring like one person and you have like two applicants coming in, this probably won't make sense for you. But for us and the agencies that we work with, they have to sift through tens and hundreds of applications, right, in order to find that dream person on their team. And you want to be able to reduce the administrative work that you're doing, and this automation is going to help you. Now, if you want access to the Zap that, oh, Johnny Vo, I need this so bad. Yeah, man, watch this show, or you can head to agencyrocketfuel.com to help you out with that. But then again, just let us know #live or replay so we can send you the exact zap that we showed today, and I can
Yep.
send that over to you via Messenger. Now, with that said, this is the end of our show. Catch us again next week. But if you guys have any questions,
Same time,
maybe you
same
can
place.
same time, same place, guys, same background, hopefully, but we'll see. But if you guys have any question around our automations, let us know in the comments below. And then, yeah. So once again, thank you for watching wherever you are
Thanks for
in the
tuning in.
world. Have a good morning, a good afternoon. If your day is about to end, have a great night. And yeah, we will see you guys on the next show.
See you guys in the next show.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Peace out.